Dobry wieczór Państwu, witam Państwa serdecznie na 60. Krakowskim Festiwalu Filmowym. Wieczorny seans za chwilkę, nasze wieczorne seanse za chwilę dobiegną końca, a za moment Państwo usłyszycie rozmowę Dagmary Romanowskiej. Witam Cię, Dagmaro, serdecznie. Dobry wieczór. Rozmowę o fascynującej historii z muzyką w tle. Good evening, Richard.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good to see you. Thanks for being with us, and thank you for accepting our invitation for your film. We are happy to screen it to Polish audience, and I hope that the conversation will be very interesting and will bring us the story of told in your film. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much to be selected in a documentary festival in Krakow. It's a pleasure. It's an honor.
It's great to have your film, and it's great to have you here tonight. And in the beginning, I would like to welcome the audiences in front of the computers, whatever screens you are sitting at. And do remember that at any moment you can ask questions for Richard.
Okay.
And I will start the conversation, and I will keep on checking if there are any questions coming. Richard, I was wondering, you're not only a filmmaker, but also a music producer, and music is your passion. But how the story with Africa Mia started? It was 1999. But there's even a sentence, I think it is Bonkana saying, or one of other guys, that white guys are so stubborn, and you stuck like for 15 years at the moment filming the story. Now it is 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So how it all started, and what kept you going for so long? Because 20 years, it is wow.
Yeah, 20 years it's a part of life, you know. I will try to be more speed for the next documentary, but no, it's like life. At one moment you are in the right place on the right moment, and when I was for the first time in Africa for traveling for vacancy, I discovered Mali and Ivory Coast, and my return ticket was in Bamako, in Mali, to get back in France. And like I am a music producer, I was interested by the music in Africa for the first time, and I saw this band who's playing the music Afro-Cuban in this hotel, L'Hôtel de l'Amitié, and I was very interested by the guy who plays the flute. He seems to be different because he was very Latin style. I didn't know much at this time the Havana, or I was not a specialist of Cuban music, you know. But I recognize that Latin stuff in this guy in particular. So I say, you play much Latin music in Africa? He said yes, and he said, I went to Cuba during 10 years in the 60s, you know, and this sentence was the beginning for me. I was remember at this time there's no internet or something like that, so you cannot find something about this band, and he didn't tell me at first the name of the band. He said, I was in Cuba during 10 years. So 3 days later, I saw the guy, and he told me the story. And 20 years after, we are here together.
Maravillas de Mali, marvels of Mali, and a marvel is your film is a marvel, because I have a feeling that kind of you are the reason, the trigger for the band to be playing again, with the leader who stayed alive. And I was wondering, what do you think about it? Were you really kind of, with your stubbornness of following them, of asking them questions, of following their roots, friends, families, etc., that you somehow inspired them to rejoin and to have the Maravillas de Mali playing again?
Yeah, because at first I didn't know when I start the story, when I start the documentary, I didn't know what exactly I will do during all this year. And for me, it was my first experience in Africa. And when I met this guy, the whole guy, I was young. I was 30, and for me, it was an experience personal also, because it was the first time I was abroad, and I was outside my network, and it was suddenly it was like a personal inquiries about this band, about the relation I got with them, and for me it was very important to try to put the guy together. So it was very difficult, like you can see in the movie, and that also that the band will be recognized as they are very important in African and Cuban music, because it was the first and the only band from Africa who went to Cuba and to play the music like the Cuban people. It was real. At first, when I heard about this band, I said maybe there are 20 Maravillas of Mali in Cuba who were sent or something like that. No, they're just them. So it was a long process, and it was quite difficult to find some money, some producer to do it. At first, at the beginning, about 2000, between 2000 and 2004, I start to propose the project to a TV broadcast. It was not for the cinema at first. And during this year, it was quite difficult because it was after the Buena Vista Social Club. I was not very known, and the project was a little bit strange because the guy was dying. So TV broadcast and some producer was interesting, but like I say in the movie, they like it, but they didn't want to produce it. So during some moments of my life, I say, okay, I will never do it, because it's quite difficult. But I never give up the project. Also, it was a part of my life. So I say at one moment it could be happen, and it could be I could be finished the film. It would be nice, and it's happened in 2015.
It does feel as this is part of your life. It does feel that you became friends actually with them. It wasn't just like a journalist coming to interview a guy or guys who played like back in the 60s, but you really dig into it, and you're like their best friend and their motivation, I guess, also a little bit.
Yeah, we got a relationship very strong, because you can imagine that it's a movie. It takes 1 hour and 20 minutes, but I got 200 hours of rush. I filmed many things, and I was in 2004 with three guys in a hotel room, and we play together. We eat together. We saw the Cannes football African together. So for them, I represent a hope. Because the band didn't exist for the situation of politics which changed in Mali, and because Bonkana left also the band, because he chose another life, and I didn't want to get involved into their relationship, because it was quite difficult to have Bonkana and them. But at one moment, when I called Bonkana in October 2015, and I say I succeed to have money to finish the project. I heard on the voice on the telephone. He was in Bamako, I was in Paris. That it was a good moment, but he was the only left. He was the only, and the scene where we can find together again in November 2015. It was very intensive emotion, because he saw some footage I planned in Havana alone in 2004. He didn't saw. He was like he saw his life, a part of his life, in 15 minutes on a screen. So it was very intensive, and he accepted to get back to La Havana. He was alone, but he accepted for the memory also of his friend. At one moment, there's no bad vibes, because he was the only left, and he said, if I have this life now, it's because I met this band with this guy also. So it was a best homage we can put to them.
Yeah, and they didn't play for such a long time because the band was kind of created like the 1963. It was the time there was the scholarship in Mali to go to Havana, and they went there like in 1964, and the last concert was like at the end of 1965. But they kind of really made a change. And but what I'm wondering really about is that. And what I find very, very interesting about your film is the fact that you show a different Africa. We don't really know that much about, or we don't really think about Africa in the 60s. And it was a very lively, dynamic country, continent and countries. You can even sometimes talk about swinging Africa. And
exactly,
then
because
changed.
Because I made in 2016, I made a big exhibition of photography about this project, which is called Swinging Bamako. So I start for the story of the band, and I proposed to the director of Les Rencontres d'Arles to make a big project photographic about the ambience of the 60s in Bamako. And at this time, there was decolonization. So there are many countries in the 60s, at the beginning of the 60s, who became socialism and tried the socialism regime. So it was like decolonization. They want to live by themselves, and there were many students who were sent to Czechoslovakia and to Russia también for the movie. So there were a big vibes and a big a change, a change. And but it didn't work about the process of economic and the regime. So the dictator and the hard regime came back. Mm-hmm. It's the story of Maravillas. It starts with a decolonization, and it's finished with a authoritarian regime. So it was the big story who made this story inside the story of these people, and it became my story to them story. So it was like a strat,
Yeah, multi-layered.
Yeah,
like several. It's really interesting because the president who sent them to Havana, Modibo Kaito, he was like this. He was this figure that they really liked, and I think they saw a lot of hopes. They had a lot of hopes with him, and they had T-shirts with him, etc.
Exactly.
Then on the other hand, in Cuba, Fidel Castro at the time was this big hope. And then if you look a few years back, like 1962, there was the Cuban crisis. And this is like an incredible time to follow. And
when they arrive, imagine they are 20 and they are from 6 different of Mali, so they didn't know each other. And they arrive in a euphoria, castrist ambience in La Havana. So it was crazy for this young African, They live in a big. I saw the villa, and in 2017 we tried to. I can't put this sequence in a film because it's more complicated. But in 2004, I came in a villa. She was completely empty. There are nobody. And I bring Bonkana and a guy from Congo in the villa in 2017. And when we arrive, it was a house of a secret regime Cuban. So we were forbidden to get in. And whereas with a camera, we cannot film and we cannot entry. So it was crazy because in the 60s there's a villa of music and happiness, and now it's a secret base of the regime. So it was like for a clin d'oeil, and but they were far from their home, and they didn't know many news because there's no internet, there's no phone or something like that. So they were in an ambience in La Havana together, and it's why they have they had some wife and some children. It was incredible to find a wife and the children. They are half Cuban, half Malian,
Those are very emotional moments in your film also, when the daughter sees the pictures and when you go and talk with them. I guess it must have been really powerful for you and for the whole team.
For me also, because the guy in Mali said to me that he got a girl in La Havana. I shoot, you see in the film, these seconds, but I didn't remember when I was in Cuba with Boncana. You know, I got many information, and it was a return of Boncana, so I didn't remember that Mustafa Sako was died in 2004 as a girl. But the ambassador of Mali say to Boncana, I found the girl of Mustafa Sako, and he arranged the meeting. So it was crazy, because she's born in 1969, and when his daughter came back to Mali, she was 6 months. So it was crazy. So she saw the footage I filmed. You know the sequence. So it's very emotional. When I was in Cuba, I met the sister of the Cuban who lives in Bamako also. So I was like a messenger between the time and between the protagonist. You know, it was like a character I have. It was infinite. At one moment I could have I could make 3-4 movies. You know, so we have to make choice. And I think more the story about music and Afro-Cuban music. I think it's also the story of the time is past, you know, because you got pictures of Boncana at 20, you got pictures of Boncana in 2000, in 2017. So we grew up together during 15 years to bring this story she made existing.
Plus the story, like really from the 60s, you're part of your life and a huge, I mean, almost all day your life. And you mentioned about how much material you got, like you mentioned 200 hours or even more. So what was the key that you chose for the final cut, and how long did it really take you? Because it must have been as challenging as.
Yeah, but you know, when I start, I didn't know exactly how to film and how to make a movie. It was my first movie, and when I signed the project, discography project, when I signed the project in Universal, we have the main project is to bring back Boncana, and I say I'm gonna also be the pioneer of the music and the recording, something like that. So I search for a friend of mine or people I know to co-direct the movie, because I say I think that I have someone who's got a new eyes about this story, and without all the past, without all the affective. Yeah. So my friend Edouard is a very brilliant guy, and we worked together about a video clip. He made a video clip for my artist before, and I proposed to Edouard, and Edouard is a very fan of Cuba. He filmed during 20 years in Cuba, so Edouard knows Cuba like I know Africa. So it was a deal together. He was the guy who co-direct the movie, and he's gonna make the new plan. I will be in the plan, but for the editing, he bring his editor, is Julien. It's a brilliant guy I didn't met before, and we worked 6 months together, but only Julien and me. And Edouard came maybe 2 or 3 times only, and he said, "Okay, it's brilliant. Okay, no, maybe we can change that." And it was a deal, and it was a real symbiosis between us, and it works like that. Because Edouard said it's my story, it's my movie at first, and we haven't got some problem of ego or something like that. Because I choose and I propose to him because I know it's a brilliant guy, and he brings me in the story. Because if there are no co-director, I didn't know I can manage that kind of project. It's too huge, too great, too big for me, you know. all the technical, but sorry.
It was a really good. I think it was a really good idea to bring you into the story, because this is your investigation. This is your life that kind of connects and mixes with the lives of Marvelous, the Mali. I was also wondering about the choice of music. Was it like what they recorded? Is it all by Marvelous, or are there any other African music themes in the subject?
No, because all the tracks are the tracks from the original album that was recorded in Cuba by the Maravillas. And when I decided at one moment, because I haven't got the money, I haven't got the producer, I decided to record some acoustic version in Bamako with the guy in the hotel room. And for this, they are like the last recording of all Maravillas, but Boncana didn't want to be there. So I managed myself. And for this material, I made a new version, a remix, or something like that. And when I came back to Cuba with Boncana, we decided to record 3 new versions of Rendezvous chez Fatimata, Radio Mali, and Africa Mia. And like I am a producer of music, I was in the idea for a long time to have some guests. So they didn't see the film, but you got a Malian singer who is Ina Moja. You got Mori Conte, who died 20 days ago, and you got a guy from the band, rap band Orishas. There's not in a movie because we can put all what's happened during this year, but the track, the album is going to be released. This is Africa Mia, like that.
Really, and this is what I wanted to ask you, if we are going to. To get the album.
And
so great to hear it.
The movie is gonna be released in France in end of the September, in 3 months. So there's gonna be a big vinyl and something like that. And it was released last year, the CD, and the CD is a mix between. It's like the movie, and it's like our story, my story, and the story of Maravillas, because you get recording of Maravillas original, and all the recording I made is like a soundtrack. It's not a complete new album of Maravillas. It's not the original. It's the soundtrack of the movie, the soundtrack of life of Maravillas.
But it's brilliant. I think that many people who see Africa Mia will want to get the soundtrack and to have the music stay with them. I was wondering what is happening with Boncana. When I was trying to search, what is happening, I saw that he gave some concerts, like even in the United Kingdom, like at Barbican Center. So what is happening with him and with the new bands, new revived Maravillas?
After we signed with a project of discographic and movie, we decided to make some new repetition when we came with Boncana. So we start like a casting with whole people, all friends who play with him in the 60s, and also young people who study in the same conservatory that he was in the 60s. So we made a new version of Maravillas. We bring Mori Conte from a few dates because they are close together, and Mori wants to be involved also. And we got a booking a girl who booked the band, and in Lisbon, in Spain, in Dutchland, we got a very interest of the story. But for the question of planning between the disc, the live, and the movie, who is not finished, we can manage in the same time all the stuff. So we hope that we can, with the end of the COVID, we hope that the band is gonna play together again. So Boncana, he was the only, and the Maravillas left, but it was a Maravillas. It was a track of Maravillas. It was the spirit of Maravillas. And he plays in Bamako. We make a concert in Bamako, and we invite the daughter and the mother of the ex Maravillas. They came to the concert, so it was very very emotional also. And we made a concert in Cuba also.
Oh, brilliant! Are they remembered well in Mali and Cuba? Is there are there any people in Cuba that know about them, or is it like more a Mali thing?
I don't know exactly. You mean that exchange between the two countries?
I mean, no. Let me rephrase it. Do people in Mali remember Maravillas and
you know, Bonkana is no, they know the song Rendezvous chez Fatimata because it's a huge hit from the 60s, a hit from the decolonization, you know. So it was one of the 5 best track in this period in Africa. So all West Africa know this song, but the name of the Maravillas de Mali is a little bit down, you know, is a little bit in the deeper of the music, you know. So like this story and like the movie, like the exhibition and like the disc, now all the people know that it was the Maravillas de Mali. This is an anecdote. If you took a cab driver in Paris who's got 40 or 50 years, he's from Africa, and you ask, you know Maravillas de Mali? He say, no, but you sing Rendezvous chez Fatimata? Yeah, he knows it. Yeah. So I think that I answered to your question.
Mm-hmm. Do you have, you mentioned plans for a premiere in France, and how about Mali? Are you going to play Africa Mia in Mali?
Yeah, because the movie was bought by all the institute French in the world. So we're gonna make a projection in next year with exhibition in Bamako and I hope a concert because at this time nobody in Mali saw the movie, because we have to find the great moment and something like that, and we have to wait that there's no festival in Mali. There's the Fespaco in Ouagadougou, but there's no festival of movie. So we wait that the movie is going to be released in France, and after in next year we're going to make some projection in Africa and maybe in different countries, in Ivory Coast, because Bonkana used to live for a moment. So that kind of music and that kind of project could be projected in all Africa. It's not particularly a Malian. It represents all Africa, enfin, a part of West Africa, exactly.
And how about Bonkana himself? Have you shown the film to him?
Yeah, it was funny because in 1 year ago, in January, we got a first version of editing. And my co-producer, because I co-produced the movie with the guy who produced Les Miserables, and they say we have to. It's time now. We have to show to Bonkana, and I was a little bit scared about it because at first Bonkana was not very cool with me, was not very in empathy with his story. He doesn't want to be in the past or something like that. Yeah, and I show in the movie, and I say, oh my God, how is he's gonna take the movie? And it was funny because he came in a winter, and he arrived from in Bubu at the projection. We were 20, and I didn't want to be close from him because I didn't want to see the expression or something like that. So I was in the back and I was very, very like that. And Edouard, my co-director, was very close from the seat. And at the end of the projection, there are many emotions. I was very in emotion, and I saw Bonkana who he turned back this head, and he stand up and he said yes, and I followed the stairs, and we were together crying. So it was very very intense. He said, "It's Richard. It's a great movie, and you made the movie you want, and I'm very proud of." He didn't see I don't want that. It was a we got a relationship between a guy who spent 20 years together to work and to start to go in the same way. So we succeeded. So he is happy. He let me about the movie, about the decision. He trusts me, and at one moment we trust together. So it was a beautiful friend relationship, and friendly, very friendly. I spoke with him. I spoke with him this afternoon. He was 82, and he said, "Oh, I know that the movie is gonna be in September. I will be there. We're gonna make the promotion together. I'm ready." So he was very informed. You know, he's like a second youth for him. You know, he real life. Real life is 20 years. You know.
I think he's a very inspirational figure for everybody, and we all wish to be with that energy that he has. And this is the best review that you could get from him. So I really believe the film will go really around the world. I think it will be really liked, like in Poland.
Yeah,
as
I hope
well.
it's going to be released in USA next year, and I hope. I'm very proud, and I'm very happy for all the people who works with me, and that it's a project of my life, you know. So I will do it another project, but it's you make that kind of project one time, and it's enough. It's
definitely. 20 years, it is once in a lifetime. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. So I just want to thank you one more time for your film. It really stays. I mean, I've seen it twice already. And I can hear Africa Mia in my head all the time. And so I look forward for the album. I think that the audience really enjoyed it. It was really great having you. And fingers crossed for the premieres around the world in France and Mali, and for the concerts. And thank you again. And for everybody who's watching us, also, thank you for being here. Actually, Africa Mia could be like, I think it should have brought you into good humor for our next festival screening in a few minutes. There is this music video night that starts like at 10 o'clock. So from Africa Mia and our conversation, everybody can go to room number 5, I believe, or just check it like on site and enjoy it. Spread the word about Africa Mia. And thank you again. Thank you also, because this is my last scheduled live Q&A, so I wanted to thank Krzysztof, Basia, Patricia for having this wonderful adventure, and the whole KFF team and the tech team that helped us go through all of those online new techniques. So thank you very much, Richard. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Dagmara. Thank you. Have a good night. And
enjoy.
Okay. Ciao.
Thank
Ciao.
you.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your evening. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.